My name is Crystal Duffy, and I am the Postville Public Library Director and the Project Coordinator for our Postville Community Heart and Soul. And Community Heart and Soul is a resident-driven process that communities can choose to engage in to figure out what matters most to their community.
I was contacted by Jason Nisus, and he asked if Postville would be interested in being one of the towns for Community Heart and Soul. And we talked about the fact that there would be a a coach that would help the community developer. My aspect of it was what I wanted to do was raise the funds for it, and then that way we could just go forward with the program. But first I had to have the city on board. So I contacted Darcy Roloff, the city administrator for Postville, and Val Reinke, who is the county executive director for Elm-McKee County Economic Development. And we sat down and I told them my idea and I told them about Community Heart and Soul, and they were on board. So we took it to the city council, and the city council approved and said if we had the money to go forward with it, they would be supportive.
So the intention of Community Heart and Soul is to figure out what communities care about and what kinds of things need to be done to steward those things. After meeting with members of the community and collecting thousands of points of data, we came up with a list of heart and soul statements, which helped us to develop our action plan to address what is important for the citizens of Postville. These statements had a theme including community events, diversity, safety, local business, education, welcoming, and volunteerism and leadership. One of the things we heard a lot in our conversation was that people wanted more community events in town. And we found that there wasn't really a lack of events, but there was a lack of advertising and a lack of sharing these events with folks outside of maybe that inner sphere of planners. The city of Postville used to have an event called Taste of Postville, and that came up a lot with folks that we talked to, and everybody wants that event to come back. And it was an example of an event where everyone from town came, all the groups, all the cultures. You could try each other's foods. There was dancing, there was comedy acts. It was just a really great example of all the best things in our community. And that event has not happened for about 18 years. So that was a really big thing that came up, that folks want that to come back. And that is like number one on our community events for ideas for action, is to bring back Taste of Postville.
I would love to see the Taste of Postville come back, because that really had a very, very deep effect on people and their sense of camaraderie and diversity, and just celebrating everybody's different cultures. I think it would be a fantastic thing to bring back to Postville.
Well, I heard that they used to have the Taste of Postville community or organization that they have, that everybody from whenever they can come out and then make food. I think that'd be cool if it happens again.
I feel like Postville could go better if they had a community together. Like, you won't see, like, it's barely, like, there's Jewish, there's Somali, there's white, there's Hispanic. They never get together. They're always keeping it from each other. So I wish they had more community get-togethers, more like foods, like we could get together, everybody presents their food. Maybe that would be better.
One of the great community events that we have throughout the summer is our farmers market, and it's starting year 5. And you can see most of the folks in our community represented at the farmers market. There's craft nights, there's live music, we've got, Jewish bakers, we've got Puerto Rican bakers, we've got the taco truck. So we've got a lot of local gardeners from a variety of cultures there. You see all the kids running around and playing. It's just a really great example of some of the good community events that we have here. The most unique thing about our community, and what I think makes it great, is the diversity here. And it is unlike any other community that you are going to see in Northeast Iowa, and potentially even in the whole state. I come from Southern California, an area that's very diverse, and I am still struck on a daily basis by all the people that are here and the interesting places they're from and their stories, and the fact that we're all here together in this small town of 3,000 people in the middle of nowhere. You don't see that. We have a Mexican market. We have, 2 Guatemalan markets. We have 2 Somali markets. We have a kosher market. We have 2 synagogues and an Islamic center. How many rural Midwest towns can say that? The access to foods that we have a taco truck, we have a Mexican bakery. It's unbeatable in this area, and I think that really is what makes us unique.
Other thing that I loved when I came was the diversity. So you go to the street and you can see the Jews, Russians, Ukrainians, Filipinos, Mexicans, plus the Americans, the Anglos. So was wonderful. I was thinking how wonderful and how wonderful that in English you can communicate with all these people. I was just so happy. I was thinking I came to the best place. Yeah. Yeah, Postville opened their arms, hugged me. I have been so happy being here in the United States.
Well, I hope that we can maintain our small sense of our small town feel and our community. I would hope that we can embrace our diversity, but by focusing on our commonalities in that diversity instead of our differences. I think that'll go a long way, and I would hope that we continue to be a thriving and economic force and growth, and just a welcoming, friendly place to live and establish your roots and have a good life.
Having here in the middle of the cornfields such a setting, like you have in Los Angeles or in New York, and here in the middle of nowhere to have such a Orthodox community, that's very unusual. And I don't know if there's any place in the world that have such a thing, because usually you have in bigger cities, you have the Orthodox communities, but to have in such a place, people don't come here because you have the Orthodox community have the needs that they need to have in a bigger community that provides all these services, such as a kosher grocery, a school, a separate boys and girls, a synagogue, and such a small place usually cannot offer so much things. But luckily here, because of the previous owners, they had a special mission to do that, and now it continues. So this is this is a very unique setting.
One of the other unique things to Postville is the diversity we have of religions represented here. We have what you would expect to see in Northeast Iowa. We've got a Lutheran church and a Presbyterian church, and we have a Catholic church, and then we've got 2 synagogues and an Islamic center, and 5 or more other churches that are doing their services in Spanish from a variety of different sort of Christian traditions. So we really have a broad spectrum of religions here that you wouldn't expect to see in this area. One of the themes that came up from our conversations with our community was that safety was really important to folks. And a lot of folks who have immigrated here from other countries come from places where they did not feel safe. They did not feel safe in their homes even. They didn't feel safe walking down the street, certainly not at night, certainly not as a female. And so folks have said to us over and over that they feel safe here, and that's important to us.
So there were things that me and my brother realized were not normal after we moved here. How our apartment was made, we had a little hallway in between the rooms and the dining room, and it had no windows, right? It was right in the middle of the house. And my mom babysat this girl, Fabiana, right? Right before we moved, there was many nights where me and my brother, we would lay there with the baby because there was a lot of shootings going around, and she'd be up at the ceiling with the other people, just on a watch out, being careful that nobody came into our building. And we just sit there, and my brother would just sing to me and her to calm us down. I didn't think that was something that was not normal, because all my friends were going through the same thing, mind you. That was totally normal to me. And then I get here, and the first night's oh, no shootings. We're sleeping in the couch. Okay, that's fine. Then the next night comes, and I'm yeah, this is normal. Okay. And then we moved to Postville, and I'm oh, there's Hispanic people here. Okay. More than I thought. Okay, normal. And then we get our own room, and I'm there has to be a catch. There has to be a catch. There was no catch.
It's very impactful for us when I'm coming here for the security, because you can to go to my office and start the car and say, hey, you start the car, please turn off, take the keys, close the car. Don't worry, take it easy, don't worry.
Did you say
Okay,
the house is
it's
open?
not the sky, it's not the paradise, but it's very, very security here and safety for the kids, for us.
Well, I love the safety for the children. I love the small town feel, like I said, the sense of community. It's something we didn't really have in South Africa. It was a huge community, something for sure. I didn't get that same feeling in New York, definitely. There's a good work ethic. I love the work ethic. I love the sense of camaraderie and the friendliness. I love the way that we can observe our religion safely and comfortably, and the sense of it's a good place. It's good Midwest ethics, Midwest feeling, and values and focus. And my husband is a born and raised Iowan, so we've passed that on to the children, and we love it here.
You know, being a part of the church is just something personal for me. I'm a very spiritual person. It's important for me to grow and invest in that area so that I feel like my wellness is taken care of. And I've been able to find moms my age and their kids that age, and my kids can hang out, and it feels safe. And for me, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. I've had things happen to me in my life that make me feel very unsafe, and so I tend to be a recluse. And being able to engage in the groups that I have and find safety in those groups makes me want to be a part of the community. It makes me feel like my kids can be here. And I don't just say that lightly.
When we first started the farmers market, one of the greatest impacts for me is when I attended the farmers market, and not only the feeling of being somewhere where people were so friendly and they were curious about me, to get to know me, and I really appreciated that, and I was curious about them just as well. And one of the gentlemen that was there, he was telling me his story when he came from Kazakhstan, and he said he wanted to move here, and he came here actually 25 years ago, and he has worked here for 25 years. He came here, and I said, why did you pick Postville out of anywhere else in the world? And he said, the reason we picked Postville is because I wanted to get away from communism. I wanted to feel free, and I wanted to work and feel safe. And he told me that he packed up his wife and his 2 children and then moved to Postville. And as he was telling me this story, I had tears almost coming down, because we take for granted the work that we do every day and sometimes complain about it. And as he was telling me this story, this beautiful woman walked by with her children, and he introduced me, and here it was the little girl that he brought 25 years ago. And she is now a teacher here in Northeast Iowa. So stories like that are heartwarming, and we all have stories to tell. And I think that's one of the greatest things about Community Heart and Soul, is that we learn that we all have stories that connect us, and we are just people. We're all people. And these stories are what connect us and make Postville such a special place, but also Northeast Iowa. So one of my greatest goals, though, is to work more with Northeast Iowa, not county to county or town to town, but as a region, and that we go from these towns and we learn from each other, and we learn about our ancestors and our history, and we share that with each other, because I think that's what makes us such a special place, is to be more curious and not judgmental.
We have some really unique local businesses here that you're not going to find anywhere else. We've got a very large Mexican grocery store. We've got 2 Guatemalan markets. We've got 2 Somali markets. We have a kosher market. We have 2 Mexican restaurants, a taco truck, a Mexican bakery. And so this is just really unique to our area.
So I'm Laura Roman, and this is my mom, Maria Carrillo. We work together at Mendoza Elena, which is her bakery and cake shop in town. We specialize in tres leches cakes, but also have a variety of other desserts, like these right behind us. We have cake cups, jellos, cupcakes. So we're mainly focused on Mexican desserts, but we also have regular desserts like cupcakes and jellies?
Postville, this community is being giving me a lot of opportunities that I never had before. Uh, Banks, they work with you. People work with you. A lot of good people. There is some bad people like anywhere else, but no, Postville is giving me opportunities that they're really thankful for. And talking about business, it is it is good to have like a small business that everybody can come and have conversation with the owner and shake your hands and have, I mean, good relationship. So there's another thing, and in a small town, you like here, we got a lot of nationalities, so you get to know a little bit of everything.
So I guess one of the things that I feel like we need to do more of is the opportunities that we have in this town as far as our grocery stores and our restaurants for people to be a little bit more open about coming into them. You know, that's where I go to get our produce and stuff when we don't grow it in our own garden, because it's some of the best produce around, their products, and they have more than what you think in those stores. So if you think it's just a Mexican food restaurant or grocery store and that's all they have, no, they have cereal, they have everything in there that you would need. It's a full-blown grocery store. It's got the Hispanic name, so it's tough to get people to go into that because there's the stigma of the name or the people that are in there. So there's no need to be nervous about going into something like that. When once you go in, you're going to realize how much they have to offer and how great of stuff they have in there and the wide variety that they have to offer.
So we're lucky in this small community to have a pretty new and very nice childcare center that offers a 3-year-old preschool and also offers a really great daycare option for a lot of our teachers that are teaching at our school. We have a public K-12 district and elementary, middle, and high schools. And we have a private K through 8 Jewish school for girls and for boys. And then we have our Masifta Jewish High School for boys here as well. So there's a lot of different opportunities in town for education. One of the things that's unique for kids in town is that they get to go to school with folks from all over the world, and they get this sort of worldly education and learning about different cultures and languages and foods that you would not get in rural Iowa.
Done a lot of research in what other communities are doing for childcare, and what I have discovered is we offer quite a bit at our center. So other communities aspire to be able to offer as much as we do in things such as wraparound care for your school agers, care on days that don't have 4-year-old preschool, and our summer program potentially for our school age kids. These are things other communities in Iowa aspire to that we've been able to do fairly consistently throughout the years. Right now, we have a large group of individuals who are looking at retirement, and as they exit the workforce, we're going to want to attract new families, young families, into Postville, and they're not going to be able to come here if they can't find childcare. I have people call me asking me, hey, I live here, I want to work in Postville at this place, do you have childcare right now? And I have to say, no, we are full. You can try this place or this place that I know are also full, but you give the resources, but they're not going to move here. People have to move where there's childcare if they have children at that age.
So Postville School is diverse. There's a lot of people. It's accepting when you're a newcomer and you just came to the country and you really don't know anything. It's a place that you will see, there's a lot of people connecting. There's Hispanic people, Somali people, white people, Hispanic. So when you come as a newcomer and you feel accepted, nobody's judging you. So I really like that about it. I really like the teachers too. They're really patient and loving, and they're really interested in knowing what we went through or what we experienced coming here. So I love that.
My kids in school love learning about that. Their stuff, their lifestyle. They stay overnight at their friend's house, and they learn a lot, and I really appreciate that for what my kids are experiencing that they're gonna deal with for the rest of their life in the world. So I think they're that much further ahead.
One of the things we heard a lot from folks when we had conversations was that they felt welcomed when they came to Postville, whether they were from somewhere else in Iowa, somewhere else in the Midwest, somewhere else in the States, a different country or continent entirely. When they got here, they felt welcomed. And so that's why that's one of our themes.
I have lived in big cities like Denver, Minneapolis, Chicago, Philadelphia, big cities. I don't like them. I like small towns. It's where when I came to the United States, I came to small town, and I think I get used to it. Besides that, small towns, for my experience, it's better to grow up kids. So that's one thing I think that's what I like. If you want to go somewhere, you always on time. City, you never know.
When I came here, was just wonderful. Everybody was so nice, so friendly. People invited me to participate in the events, even with my little English. And other wonderful thing for me was that I was able to go to the English class here because the school have it. I think were coming, I don't know, was Luther College. Don't believe me, I don't remember who was. But they came, so it was wonderful for me. I start to know more people in the community, Latinos like me, and to start to learn more. So for me, this was something that I think it is very important to have English class face-to-face here in Postville. Now we don't have it, but it's something that I will suggest because I saw really how it was helpful for everybody of us.
One day I remember coming with the guys for the mail office. They put our name because I need to receive mail for the lawyer. And then one lady, I don't see anymore, say, "Oh, hey, you are the family coming from the Venezuela?" "Yes." "Oh, wait, take it for you. I'm sorry, it's not too much, but I am happy you stay here." "Thank you." When I open it, I'm $50. Wow, never see again.
Total stranger.
I don't know what is that, but for me, I am rich.
After we lived with that one guy from our church, we lived at the church for about, it was like a summer. It wasn't too long.
Maybe
Like 3 months.
Not too much.
It was comfortable, but it wasn't a house. And then after that, Isaias helped us get our first house.
Our address.
Yeah, a 2-bedroom house. He paid for it, and then my parents paid it to him. And it was such a big help. But when we moved there, we just had mattresses. Like, we didn't have any actual beds. We really not, we just had the pure basics. And the person that we got the house from, they left out, the couches and stuff. And we still have those couches. My brother uses them in ISU. And that's where Aiden, he was, the person that lived across from us. He was very warm and welcoming. And one day, Miss Rupert and her mom and her sister, just after she had heard that we just moved in, she was so happy for us. She brought us, their bed, our bed, a bunch of, just basic stuff that somebody would need at a house. And we were so thankful.
Me gusta su tranquilidad, es un pueblo muy tranquilo, no hay problemas. Me gusta el gran apoyo que nos dan a los pequeños negocios. Cuando fui a pedir mi permiso a la comunidad de Postville, recibí el apoyo de la señora Paula, la señora Valeria y pues de todas las personas que estaban allí, el señor Robert también, no recuerdo su apellido, pero me gustaría agradecerles mucho y es lo que más me gusta de Postville. También pues que es una comunidad muy muy tranquila.
Yeah, so she just says she really appreciates the peaceful community that's here, the welcoming environment, and the support she's receiving from people like Paula, Val, and then at the city hall, everyone who supported our business permit because I was a little bit trickier with that stuff. But we received a lot of support and welcoming, encouragement from these people. Yeah.
I guess my biggest thing to see in Postville is just the people to open their eyes and maybe just be open-minded, give it a try, spend some time here. Don't just drive through and judge because you're looking out the window and you think, oh, this is not how it used to be. But really, it is, and it's actually better. Yes, it seems smaller. You don't have the same named people that have lived here their entire lives, but there's people that generally care and are more compassionate about living here in the community. That I think, as far as going forward, I guess I would like to see more of people open up to the options that we have here, and not be so quick to judge, and don't bash the ones that are here, because they criticize pretty easily of the people that do feel strongly about living here and enjoying the town. They're really quick to jump on that beat you down type mentality, I guess you could say.
While we know that folks feel welcome when they come to Postville, one of the things we want to work on is really casting a bigger net with that, making sure we're reaching everyone when they first come to town, and having tools in place to help them settle and be successful from the beginning. Our community has a great deal of volunteers, and the volunteers in our community make such a huge impact for a great amount of people in this town. We've got a community garden run by volunteers where folks can use plots for free and grow food for their family. And that food then also gets donated to our food pantry in town, which is also run by volunteers, and that feeds a great amount of our population. So volunteers really keep Postville moving. So that was why it was important that it's one of our statements.
So I think the more people feel welcomed in our community and the more they feel invested and they have a sense of community, the more they'll be spurred on to volunteer and perhaps seek leadership positions to represent our community more adequately.
I guess I'll start with Lions, because Lions, they were recruiting me for about a year, and I always thought, okay, I'm too busy. I have too much going on. I have 3 young kids, and at that time I had a newborn. So, and my husband's a farmer, and I don't know when I'm the primary person, right? So I can't. I want to, but I can't. But I did join, and I'm so happy I did. Shout out to the Lions, because they're fun. They're a fun group, and I really like the community service aspect of Lions, and the fact that, I know that Community Heart and Soul is a grant, and it's something that might at some point not be. So this is a way for me to still be a part of the community as being a part of Lions, and I can still give back to my community in that way that I like to do.
I was the high school varsity and assistant coach for 13, 14 years, and then I had the opportunity to become the girls' head coach. I've done that for the last 5 years, so varsity head coach, and now I've actually went back to the boys. They offered me to go back to the boys, and I guess so I'm headed back to the boys to continue my coaching. So I have a pretty big role, I guess, in the school. I walk in the school, they all know my name. I see them around town, they all know my name. It's nice that I have a positive relationship with most of them. I write letters of recommendations for a lot of them, and they call me about jobs, they call me about advice, which I feel is very important, especially with these kids that are coming out of the school now. They're all different ethnicities, so I'm involved in all of them. I care about all of them. I care about what they do in their future, because honestly, they're probably some of the best kids that I've ever had the opportunity to be around. I think very highly of a lot of them. So it's pretty tough for me to hear people bash it when I know how valuable they are to me and their families. So with that, I took on the role of Youth Advisory Committee. I am the president of the Youth Advisory Committee for the youth sports. So we're helping the Wellness Center in town here try to get the youth programs built up and in a positive way going forward.
So some of the challenges we had in Postville doing Community Heart and Soul, the primary obvious wall is language. a lot of communities have engaged in Heart and Soul, and they might do, surveys or conversations in English, and might do a few in Spanish. But with our community, about 50% of folks are not speaking English at home, and so we created surveys and had conversations in English, Spanish, Somali, Hebrew, Ukrainian, and Russian. And so hiring translators and interpreters to do that work it almost felt like we were doing Heart and Soul times 6, because everything had to be translated once we had our findings, and the fidelity of language and wanting to make sure you get it right. And it's important to have things be accessible for your entire community, because that's how you show you care. We can't say that we're trying to talk to the whole community if it's not accessible for the whole community. So that was a big challenge.
One of the things I would say about the process that I learned is, first of all, you have to be resilient in this process. You have to be committed to this process. And you really have to have a team. And Darcy and Val and I, who were there from the beginning, one of the things that we said is that we were not going to let this fail, and we never gave up. And there's times where it gets very difficult. You also have to have a community that wants to be involved with it. And they can be involved in many different ways. And sometimes I think we think that everybody has to jump in and be gung-ho, but all of us give in many different ways, and you have to nurture that, and also respect the fact that sometimes they're giving all that they can give. But I think the biggest thing is to be patient with the process. It does take time. And also for communities to know that there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you don't see, and to trust that process. The other part I would say, for Community Heart and Soul that I've gotten out of it personally, is that you have to reflect back on all the positive things that you've done and see the growth that you've done. And with Community Heart and Soul, you start to see that towards the end, and with the phases that you're going through. Some of the things that I've seen with Community Heart and Soul that I do think that has changed a lot is, I think other people from other communities are more interested in Postville, wanting to know more about Postville. They're wanting to be educated on Postville, but also they want to invite people from Postville to be part of their communities and come visit. And so that is a huge goal that we are meeting here in Northeast Iowa.
More so now, more than ever, it seems like Postville is grieving, right? So there was trauma. There's trauma that we experienced as a community. I can't say we, because I wasn't here. There was trauma that was experienced. And people are still grieving. Mm-hmm. And you have anger in that. You have fear. You have, all of these emotions that sometimes come out as judgment or just different things like that. So what I would like to see is that people start to realize the beauty of Postville, what we have here. Embrace that and kind of create a new community, come back together in that way. What I really enjoyed about being part of Community Heart and Soul and being part of the core group was the experience of identifying the different groups of Postville, because I didn't know that before. So I got to know Postville on an even deeper level, and that makes me feel more vested and engaged in the community. And I know my resources now. Mm-hmm. Hey, I want to do something fun with my family. Well, the Wellness Center's doing this, or this is going on at the park, or the Lions Club is doing that. And so it's helped me find the things that I want to see. And I want people to realize that we do have the things here that they're wanting, and it's about finding it now and embracing it now and loving our community again.
Starting this month, this is May 2024, we have English as a second language classes coming back to town in person, and we haven't had those since before COVID, and the Heart and Soul team was part of that. We have formed a welcoming committee called Heart of Postville, or Alma de Postville in Spanish, to help welcome new folks to town and help them feel comfortable and settled. The city is going to hire a community developer for fiscal year 24-25 based on what we found through the Heart and Soul process. And we've also started a newcomer document with information about, like, where would you get your driver's license, or what grocery stores are in town, or a lot of little things that we might take for granted if we've lived in America our whole lives or lived in Iowa our whole lives. And we're working on that document, and we'll be translating it into lots of different languages to help folks when they get to town. Now that we have collected all this information from our community and organized our data and come up with our heart and soul statements and presented an action plan to our city council, that action plan becomes the blueprint for how our community moves forward and stewards the things that we have said we care about.